As the leader of the Booner Path, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports, the Crunch Time Sports Show. Jeff Iafrate, Booner. It is Monday, January 5th. Coming off a Lions win over the Chicago Bears, huh?
Victory, final victory Monday of the year. Here we go.
Victory Monday, but onto the offseason, onto Cancun. That's where we are now. We're going to Cancun. So, yep, that's where we're going.
You didn't have to do that.
We're going to Cancun. So you know what? It's they won yesterday. We had our watch party. Shout out Dog and Pony Show Brewing. Shout out Kyle. We had people that tuned into the watch party, the post game show. We appreciate you. It was a lot of fun. It was great. We're not done. We're still going to do more. We got Packers Bears this weekend, so we're going to still do more. But in terms of Lions, that was the last one of the 2025-2026 season. That was the last one. So it's kind of surreal. I feel like the season kind of flew by, to be honest. When you're in it, it flies by. It really does.
What's crazy is like the off season. I think it's one of the wildest things. Like for what we do, it's like the off season feels like it takes forever. And I know the off season technically is longer, and then when you finally get to the season, you're like, finally we're here. And then boom, like in a snap of a finger, it's like the season's over, and now we're right back in the off season again. Hot take, like I love the season because you have an opportunity to go win a Super Bowl. Like it's amazing. I'm a big fan of the off season too. Like I really enjoy the one thing I'm looking forward to the most is like we get to go to the combine and cover the draft. Like that's one of my favorite times of the year, to be honest. I do enjoy it, whether you're good or bad. You know, it's just for the media sense of things. There's some good conversations that come up.
Yeah, you still have the off season. I mean, Dan spoke today, kind of had his end of the year press conference, and the players spoke to the media, and then we have that last one from Brad Holmes, at least of the season recap. I think they speak at the owners meeting in like March or something, which that's a good one because at the owners meeting, you get 30 minutes of Dan and Brad pretty much uninterrupted, just straight questions for like 30 minutes. So that's a good one. But Dan Campbell had his press conference today. We'll talk about that. We have Taylor Decker. Big question mark heading into the offseason. What happens with Taylor Decker? He spoke after the game. Didn't sound, at least from Lions fans, probably shouldn't be too confident that he comes back next season. I don't know if that's bad news or good news, depending on which side of the fence you're on. We'll talk about that. But Dan Campbell hinted at changes. Booner, you got a question for me later in the show. We'll talk about Dan's comments on Calvin Shepard, what happens with him, and some of the coaches that have been fired today. That could be coordinators next season. You know, it's a Black Monday, they call it. So guys are getting fired. Opens up the possibility that you can bring one of these guys in to be your coordinator if you fire both your coordinators, which we'll see. Dan already hinted today that they're not going to make that decision, at least today. But you'll find out more. So plenty to get to today with that. Dan Campbell, I hate, this sounds really bad. I don't ever want to say I'm looking forward to hearing about someone losing their job. I don't want to say that's a bad thing. All right. That's not good to do that. But as soon as something is announced, I am excited to cover it because that's a big.
You look so geeked and juiced up for
it's
something.
So bad. I know it's like I'm stuck between, it's like a rock and a hard place or whatever. I guess that would be, I don't know if that's the correct saying.
No,
I'm kind of like, I don't want
to. Shout out.
I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like rooting for guys to lose their job. But finding a new coordinator is exciting. It is. It's an exciting. Not cool, Jeff. People Jeff. It is
honestly though, like
an exciting hire.
I think like the one thing, like when you do have a bad season, when you're like 9-8 and you miss the playoffs, I think every move that, like, I think it's you're a little, everyone should be a little giddy about what's going to happen in the offseason. Like, I think it's the same thing with, like, obviously I would hate, like, I like Taylor Decker, but it's like you're kind of giddy to see what is his decision. What is Brad Holmes going to say Thursday? Are they going to fire the coordinators? Like, what are these moves going to? I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what happens. You want to see the change, right? It's like when something goes wrong and your favorite team, you want to see the change, and you sit there and you're like, I'm so pumped up to see the moves that they make. And like, I don't know if people like, we're going to go over a lot of the Dan press conference today because I felt like it was very important. And I think the media actually did a really good job today asking the right questions, because there was a lot of things that were answered, in my opinion. And the way Dan seemed like today, Jeff, I don't know if you got the feeling, it felt like he was very intentional today. Like, if that makes sense, where he knows how he's going into this offseason. He had some urgency today. He obviously was, last night, you could tell he was a little excited about the win, but then everything settled down last night. And then today, his press conference was more so like very, very intentional in the spot that, hey, that we're making moves. And I think he let it be very well known. And I'm sure when he had the meetings today, and he has probably some more tomorrow with coaches and players, I'm sure the message around the building, and unless you're probably one of those core players that have already been paid, or like a Jameer or someone who's going to get paid, you're probably like walking on, what is the saying, Jeff? Pins and needles around that building right now, including every single coach, including coordinators. You are on the edge of your seat like, do I have a job tomorrow? That's how Dan felt. That's what it felt like with Dan today, where no one's safe besides your core guys, which I'm with you. I feel like I'm a bad guy being like, I love it, but I love it. That means things are going to happen. And hey, they might listen to Crunch Time, Jeff, because I feel like every time we talk about stuff, those guys bring it up. It's really weird. I'll tell you what, it's really weird.
Yeah, they someone asked a question to Dan, and I can't remember what the question was. Oh my gosh!
Breaking news. First, Coach Walk. Let's get Coach Walk $50.
Coach dropped $50. I mean,
I don't know what the pizza bet was, but he obviously
it was a pizza bet. You know what? That is a gentleman. That is a scholar from a Coach Walk. There, we appreciate that. Coach.
Love you, Coach Walk. I do love you.
By the way, the pizza bet is we had a thing. He picked JMO to lead the team in receiving yards. I picked Amon-Ra St. Brown. He paid up his bet, so he bought more than pizza. I mean, he bought 5 pizzas, depending on where you order them. So we appreciate you, Coach Walk. Thank you, my friend. We run it back next year. Let's do it again, my friend. Nobody else said great year. Great job, boys. Time and effort you put into this makes me love the Lions more. We appreciate the support. It's been amazing, especially you guys in the chat watching every single day. We appreciate the hell out of you guys, man. We do. Go. What do you have, Boone? What's the breaking news?
Hold on. I'm tweeting it out. It's breaking news. Bryce Underwood is returning to the University of Michigan next year. Come on, baby. Let's go. And in the left tackle, there's been a bunch of guys today. Andrew Marsh is supposed to be returning. They said they're putting a package together so he never has to enter the portal. The boys are staying. There's been a handful of guys that have entered the portal, but a lot of the big pieces, offensive line-wise, Bryce Underwood, and they said Andrew Marsh, guys are returning. Everyone said that he was gone after that season. Everyone. People are saying it's a bad thing because he threw 3 interceptions or whatever it was in the final game. I said it very blatantly. If there's any kids or any of my family watching, close your ears. You had a head coach that was more worried about sex than he was developing a rookie quarterback. Now you have an actual coach there that cares about a quarterback. Bryce Underwood just had a whole season as a true freshman. A true freshman.
For a second, I thought you were going to say like Calvin Shepard got fired or something.
No, I'm sorry. Bryce Underwood is huge. And people want to be like he was bad because he had a bad game to end the year. Dude, he was a true freshman. He went up against Arch Manning, who sat for 1 billion years. Like, what? We might win a natty next year.
Winning the natty next year. You know what? I love it. I love it for you. I do. It's good news. So I think it's great news. Bryce Underwood's back. There you go.
Dude, that's huge. What? That's, oh my gosh.
Kyle Whittingham, he did his job there, recruiting him back.
That's why you hired him. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry for that. That was just so thrilling. Dude, that's such a big deal. I've been waiting all day. I've been hearing rumors about it all day. I've just been waiting all day for this news to drop. And it just dropped 3 minutes ago.
There you go.
We might win a national championship next year, bro. Like, what? We're right back. We're right back. Come on.
Someone said, Detroit sports fan said Bryce future Lions backup. Next Hendon Hooker? What if?
I'm saying. Oh man.
It's incredible. It's great news. Let's get to
5-star offensive lineman said he's staying. Like, dude, people are that running back the number one hitter, Savion hitter, the number one player in the entire class this last draft, number one overall player in the country, running back. He was on campus. He's on campus officially. Hey Jeff, I'll tell you what. Go put that Michigan Natty, that future in right now, and we'll and then thank me next year. Buy me a pizza next year.
Jay Stees just said Bryce is Joe Milton.
That's just you know what? Like he's the troll. That's a troll. He's trolling. He knows what he's doing. It's a troll.
Joe Milton. That's crazy.
I know, like Ghetto Boy One for sure. Like he doesn't like to hear that news. Like he hates to hear that news. He doesn't even have a quarterback. He has a coach. Doesn't even have a quarterback.
Hey, those parties are excited about Fitz, man.
Great Lake State guy, Michigan. He's a State fan, I bet, too. He doesn't even have a quarterback right now.
They don't.
It would suck to not have a quarterback at the moment, man.
Well, Dan spoke after the game. I got Dan's thoughts on the game. So after the game, Dan gave his thoughts, spoke about the win. Let's take a listen to that, and then we'll play a little later some other newer clips. But this is from yesterday. Let's take a listen to Dan.
Good win by the guys. Proud of them. You know, that's the way to finish. I didn't expect anything different out of them, just knowing the guys that we had. And I tell you what, but nonetheless, I'm still proud of them because, you know, it's not always the easiest thing. You get eliminated, and it's hard for some guys to, you know, you're back out in the elements, and it's with the team that's already clinched, you know, but our guys fought, man. And from the beginning, even when they came back, you know, we were up 2 scores. They came back. Our guys didn't bat an eye, and we were able to finish it out. And it was really one of the best games we played as far as complimentary football. That's really what a lot of really good performances by a lot of guys. Good win by the.
All right, let me just say this before we get into the other stuff about this win. Two things can be true. All right. One, you ended the season on a high note, whatever you want to call it. You know, you beat Ben Johnson officially twice now, so you get you get to say you swept the Bears who won the division. Awesome. I'm sure they got a medal for that somewhere that exists. I swept the Bears. Okay, but the reality of it is, man, you know what frustrates me the most? Is not that they won the game, because we talked about it. Like, you know, we were like, oh, would you rather win or lose? Whatever. We're past that. Let's just talk about the win. Why do the Lions have to play the Bears to give a fuck? Like, honestly, is that why does it have to be the Bears to give a shit? That's my question. Because I think the only playoff team they beat this year was the Bears twice. Why do they just all of a sudden give a damn when they face the Bears?
Do you think it was the Bears, or do you think it was just the fact that they wanted to prove something because they were out of the playoffs? Because I don't think it was the Bears as much, because they were asked. A couple of the players were asked about it, and they were like, "That had nothing to do with the other guys we were playing."
We talked about this last night on the post game. It's like, why in the most meaningless game do all of a sudden they want to play well? I just don't understand. Not even play not well on offense, obviously, but defensively. Like defensively, they had a bunch of injuries, and they actually put together a pretty good game plan defensively with injuries. But then in the same breath, people bring up injuries or why the defense has been so bad. So it's like, which one is it actually? Is it the defense because they're injured, or is it because they played one of the best rushing offenses in the entire league and they held them to 65 yards with injuries? No Lee McNeil. Like, I don't get it. I just don't understand. I guess that's like the perfect storyline of the season, right, for the Lions. It's like people want to bring up injuries and use that as like the biggest excuse, but the reality is, like, this team just didn't come to play because they just weren't as motivated as, I guess, in these 2 Bears games. I mean, you dropped 50 on the Bears the first time, and then you beat them in Chicago to end the year, when they've looked way better than they did at the beginning of the year. Yeah. Without Penei Sewell, without Penei Sewell, without Aleem, all these guys, you have no safeties. It's like no Anzo.
It is frustrating. I'll say the frustrating part about it,
dude,
like to me,
you can't be Max Rosmer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I looked back at it too. You had 8 losses, right? 5 of your 8 losses are one possession games. What was the issue in a lot of those losses, Jeff, that we actually just kept bringing up was like the complementary football. Like you couldn't put together a full football game in a lot of those losses, really every loss. And the one thing like Dan said after the game last night, they were like, what was the difference? And he was like, we played complementary football for like the first time this year. And it was like week 18, you finally put together a good game. Like that's like a complimentary game where when offense is down, defense is up in the game. When the defense was down in the game, the offense was going. Special teams gave you a little bit. Like that was probably the most frustrating part about watching the game yesterday was that they just kept picking each other up. And you're like, yeah, this is cool to see now. But there was 8 games this year that you lost where it was like it would have been sick to see that in 8 other weeks. That's where it's very. I think it's more frustrating for fans and us. And you do look back like the Minnesota game, like the Steelers game, Jeff, a one possession Steelers game at home. Those are back-to-back home games, essentially. The Vikings was on the road. But when you talk about the Vikings, the first Vikings game, you're at home and you lose that one. It's like that's the most frustrating losses in the world. And the fact, too, on top of that, you didn't just get swept by the Vikings. You as well got swept by the Green Bay Packers. That's also, even at home, too. It sucks. All you have to do is win one more game this year and you're in. And in hindsight, it sucks. You're looking back and being like, could have changed this. You just didn't. They didn't put together the right team, in my opinion. I think it's a mixture of, obviously, you have your core players. I think, Jeff, you agree with this. And they keep bringing up, like, your core players, you know what they are. Like, you saw yesterday, those guys did show up, right? Like, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Jared, Jack Campbell showed up. A lot of Hutch showed up. Like, a lot of your main guys showed up in these games. It's really, like, if we're just calling a spade, man, it's these role players or, like, those other fill-in spouts that just throughout the year just really haven't showed up. And then it's also coaching. So, I think those are the 2 biggest things looking after coming out of yesterday, being like, you won that game yesterday because you're stars. That's what it was.
I mean, like Wobot says, Lions averaged 19 points against winning teams. We played exactly how we had been playing. Chicago came out soft.
I was shocked how Chicago looked, to be honest.
Yeah, I was shocked. They went scoreless for 3 quarters, which, like, again, the Lions defense played well, but like that is like pretty insane if you think about it. Like and then they had quick 16 points in like the 4th quarter to tie the game. But that's a fair point, right? Like the Lions offense, although you won that game, they still struggled. I mean, they had the field goal that should have they should have converted that first down when they called the screen pass to Anthony Ferkser on 2nd and 1 when you should have just ran it up the middle and you probably would have scored that drive. Like there was some boneheaded play calling, just a couple moments, even though they moved the ball well, but it was like situational play calling that was a little head scratching. But here's the overall takeaway. Okay, take away all like the head scratching play calls. You won the game. Why? Because you took the points every time you had the chance to, which I brought it up yesterday. You see what happens when you take points, okay? Not saying you're never going to go for it on 4th down again, but when you take points in some of these games, that's what happens. You have a chance to win at the end of the game by kicking a field goal. If they wouldn't have taken points on any of those other drives that they had, and let's just say, I think they missed a field goal in that game as well, but let's just say, one of those field goals, they went for it and didn't get it, you would have been kicking to tie the game. But they were kicking to win it because Dan was disciplined and chose to take the points. Just like if you took the points in the first quarter against the Steelers, you would have had to kick a field goal to win the game at the end. So, or against the Eagles in a game where it was like a 6-point game at the end, you fast up on points in that game.
Dude, that's actually something that no one asked Dan last night or today was about. And unless I missed it, I didn't hear anyone ask him what made you actually start taking points yesterday. Was it because you had nothing to play for, or were you actually trying to just get a feel like if you did? Because you are right. I think, honestly, Jeff, that might be one of the greatest age takes that you've ever had this, or not ever, but like this season, was you started off from the first week being like, they need to just take the points and field goals. Like we do love, I think you as well, like at some points we've all really loved Dan's aggressiveness. And I do think there are moments where I like it. Like, how can I explain this? Like, majority NFL fans want their coaches to be conservative. I do like when Dan is a little bit more like, hey, we're going to go for on these fourth downs. But I do think there is the side that you have been pushing since week one of, hey, there are big, if you want to stay in some of these close games and you know that, hey, you might not be as good this year, you just need to take those points and roll with it, because you're going to win a couple games just based off of that. And you're going to lose games based off not doing it. And that's what happened. You're one game short of the playoffs. And Jeff, to your point, again, I wish I could give you a high five or a handshake. There we go, a handshake. To your point, if they listened to you all this year, guess what would be going on right now? Lions would be playing this weekend. If you took the points all year. And I know that sucks for people to say, because it's such like a hindsight, like, well, looking back, like, yeah, it's easy to look back and change things, but it's kind of a fact. Like, that conversation started week one in that Packers game when you got, blown out, but there were moments to take points. You didn't, you went for it. You started to get blown out. Like, and then it happened throughout the whole year. And Dan was very set on it. Like, even when he was asked by media, he was set. Like, I'm not taking points. And then all of a sudden he takes points and they win the game. It's very
conditions
weird.
That weren't ideal, by the way. So people want to mention Jake Bates. Like, he chose to kick the field goal. He chose to take the points in like 10-mile-per-hour winds outside in like 20-degree weather. So it's not like, it wasn't like it was in a dome and he's taking points. You've been in a dome and not taking points.
Yep.
So I think the problem I have with it this year, though, is not that I have a problem with being like, hey, we're a team that we are confident in our personnel to make some decisions sometimes, or we're going to go for it. The problem I have is when he was doing it, and it was working, it's because of the personnel you had. You had the top 5 or top 2 offensive line in football, and you could pick up any 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, or if you're 4th and 5, Jared would have time to throw the ball. So the offensive line gave him such an advantage on those 4th down situations. This year, you have a terrible offensive line, and he's went for it in games where you didn't have Amon-Ra or Sam Laporta, which is head-scratching. So I think that's where I start to be like, okay, you don't have as good of an offensive line as you've had, and there's times where you're without some of your best safety blanket weapons, and you're still deciding to go for it. Like, that would be like, you're a football team that likes to throw downfield, but all your home run hitters are out. All your 4-3 speed guys are out, and you got a bunch of 4-6 guys, and you're like, we're still going to push the ball downfield. It's like, no, you can't. You have to adjust because you don't have guys that can do that. Just like if you have an offensive line that can't block to save their life or get any push in the run game, why are you going for it on 4th down as often as you are? Like, to me, that just like comes with the flow of a game or adjustment on the fly. And I think Dan sometimes doesn't have that person. I just know.
The perfect example, I think, if like, again, a hindsight situation that you're bringing up here, Jeff, when it comes to that, if Dan Campbell, and this is a fact, I don't know if you can deny this, if he coached that Philadelphia Eagles game like he coached last night's game, you went 0 for 5 on 4th down. I think 2 or 3 of those you were in field goal range. Maybe one. I know for 2 of them for sure were in Jake Bates' range. Maybe 1 of those or 2 of those were like in like his deep like 60+ range, but you could have maybe attempted it. And then I think you punted it at like the 45.
Well, there was also the call, and I blame, and I love JMO, but he had the one call that pushed Jake Bates. Jake should have had the extra point on that one day. Like,
and that as well. So like, if you don't miss that, but either way, like, let's say you go 0 for 5 on 4th down. Let's say 2 or 3 of them are in field goal range. I don't remember exactly. I know one was inside like the 5, I believe, and they went for it. And then I think another one was like at like the 30 something, and then maybe there was a couple on the 40. But if like 2 or 3 of those, like, you just kick a field goal and you go for it, right? You lost like, I think it was 16-8 or 16-9. I think it was 16-9. Let's say you kick 2 of them. You're at 16-15. If Jake Bates, obviously the extra point with JMO, that's 16-16. Or even then, like, you're in a position to win that game, or it's a field goal game at that point. And you didn't do it. And last night last night was very, very telling that, hey, if you did approach that way and you could still be aggressive in bigger ways and still make those moments, you're going to probably win more football games at the end of the day. Because how many games this year did they win off going for it and making it on 4th downs? I don't think any. Like, maybe there's a couple. I don't remember if there was any games where you being aggressive really helped you win that game. Was there any that anyone can remember? Maybe I'm
not this year. I know last year they had some like the Packers game last year where they had to go, they went forward and closed the game out. Like there's moments where you're like, yeah, like okay, that definitely.
I just don't know if there was one this year, a game where specifically this year you were ultra aggressive, and you being ultra aggressive essentially won you the game, and you went 9-8. To where if you just play normal, kick field goals, you're probably 10-7, 11-6 because you win that Philly game. You probably win one of those Vikings games.
Yeah, and by the way, like people want to bring up Jake Bates. Like, guys, I get it. Jake Bates has not been great this year, but like, let's not act like if you had the best kicker in football, Dan wouldn't still go for it. We all know that. I mean, Jake Bates was hot last year. They still went for it. So we can't just say like Jake Bates. No, like guys, I understand it, but you can't tell me with a straight face if you had the best kicker in football, Dan wouldn't still be going for it. Like we know he would. You know what I'm saying? That's Dan. He says it all the time. It's who we are. I doubt that he would change his approach completely if Jake Bates was having another great year. He was having a great year last year, and they still went for it. So I don't know if I get what you guys are saying with him having a down year. That is a fact. But he still comes up clutch in these clutch moments. I mean, he still hits game winners for you. I mean, he's hit what, 2 game winners this year? I think.
Last year he hit a couple.
Like he always comes up clutch for you.
And look at like last night.
Great point. Boom, mic drop right there. Whatbot, freaking, I love you, Whatbot. I love your soul for putting that comment.
Whatbot, it's such a good
Whatbot. Way to come in clutch.
What a name.
Right, they have the best punter and they never punt. Think about that. The Eagles game, you'd rather go for it at midfield and give the Eagles half the field rather than pinning them with Jack Fox. So I love that. That's a good point. That's a great point right there. Love that. Dan also mentioned that, like to what you were saying earlier, that changes need to be made. Changes are coming. You read the quote on the post-game show, but I have the video. So here's the because we talked a little bit about it on the video, but here's what Dan said last night about changes coming to the Lions, and just not changes really, but just what do they have to do in the offseason, him and Brad Holmes. Let's take a listen to this quote.
I believe that things happen for a reason, right, wrong, or indifferent, or what. And I just, when something like this happens, I believe it's going to be for the best. And it's up to Brad and I to make it for the best. And the guys that we know we're going to count on that are on this team. I'll say this.
At least he says it is on him and Brad got to do it. And by the way, according to Spotrac, the team with the most cap space is the Tennessee Titans. They got $113 million. They got
I do think
of money.
That's a lot of money. So,
and the Detroit right now currently is ranked 20th with 13 mil, but I'm sure they can get more than that with the money freed up.
Yeah.
But they are 20th right now.
That's what I was going to say. It's obviously going to change over the next month or so. There's going to be a lot of moves in conversations and restructures. Like they're going to open up some money, but
the Chargers got a lot of cap too. Wow.
Well, the Chargers are young, right? Don't forget.
Rams
this year,
too?
I don't think the Chargers this year had as much because I think they had a lot of dead cap. But remember the Chargers over the last 2 years, once Jim Harbaugh got hired in, do you remember when he came in, they started to trade and just cut guys. They just started to let guys go. They didn't remember Joey Bosa. He had that massive deal. They just cut him.
The Rams have $93 million, but they got
they're going to pay a couple.
They got to pay a couple guys, but still, they got a lot of money available.
They're going to start getting into that spot where we are here in the next year or so.
Yep. They're still in that window where guys are on rookie deals. Like that's
why if they win this year, they're right. They're, you know what I mean? They're in a good spot this year because of that.
Yeah.
Next year, it starts getting trouble for them. Puka's going to have to get paid. Like that D line, they're going to have to start paying them.
Yeah, Puka might get half that. 93.
100. Actually, he will. Literally, he'll get like 40 mil.
Yeah, he'll get a lot of money there. But yeah, they're sitting at 13. If they restructure, they'll probably restructure Goff, I'm assuming, and
say 50, 60 mil.
Yeah, they'll get some money freed up right away. But the question is, he mentioned with him and Brad, like what changes are coming? Like I wonder what that means from Brad Holmes' standpoint. Does this mean we will finally get free agency additions that are impactful, and not impactful meaning like where Lopez was impactful, but I mean like go get a Tyler Lindenbaum or something. Like who's the biggest free agent Brad Holmes has signed? Think about that. I would be probably DJ Reed, probably, like money wise.
Money wise, yeah, DJ Reed,
maybe
David Montgomery.
David Montgomery. That's a good one.
CD, what's his name?
CD Deuce.
CD Deuce, yeah.
But I wonder, like, are we gonna get the best of all time here, like Tyler Lindenbaum or someone that's like, wow, like this player will be very good?
He actually hasn't done that yet. He hasn't like one of the top market. He isn't.
Like the Rams just went and got Devontae Adams. Like, say what you want, like Devontae is a ball player. Like they just
such a good move.
You know what I mean? Like they got a dude that's a proven ball player, and he wasn't a lot of money. Like, are we gonna see Brad do something like that? You know, where it's like, hey, Tyler Lindenbaum, here's $18 million, or like here's so and so, here's a guy who's like proven. Everyone's like, wow, you know, a good edge rusher, good offensive lineman, you know. Or are we just gonna bring back, hey, Rock Ya-Sin, which by the way, I'm okay with that. Hey, Roy Lopez. Hey, Amik Robertson. All right, we'll save the rest for re-signing guys. It's like,
yeah,
no, come on, Brad. I'm hoping you get one of those moves this offseason.
Did you see Dan today? I posted. I don't know if you want to play it.
Yeah, what was it?
The one that he said today about making moves. And Dan was pretty transparent about it. And he basically just straight up said, like, we're going to – I don't think he meant to do it, but I think – I don't know how much Brad – I'm guessing him and Brad talk a lot, but I think Dan has this side of him to where maybe he didn't like the roster fully this year because he's – I wouldn't say it's a slip up, but today he was like, we're going to bring guys in to compete. And to me, that insinuates this year you just didn't have good enough players, right? Like when you say something like that, and then he did save himself a little bit by being like, whether they're on the roster now or not. But him being like right away, being like, we're going to bring guys in to compete, that makes me feel like he didn't like fully the roster top to bottom that they had this last year. And it probably pissed him off a little bit, to be honest.
He knows this roster isn't good enough. It's just not good enough. I mean, let's hear what Dan had to say. I'm curious about this.
And what you guys do.
Oh, for sure. We're not going to back down on that. We believe in what we do. It's got us to where we've gotten to at this point. Now, we fell short this year. And look, we all acknowledge that. I acknowledge that. It's bitter, you know. It's a bitter taste. I mean, it feels good to win yesterday, but ultimately it's frustrating, you know. But we got nobody to blame but ourselves. But I really don't believe we're that far off. There's a couple of things we can do, and I just want to make sure, man, we go after it, man. We and I'm not saying we weren't hungry, but let's get that hunger back, and we're going to bring in some guys to compete. You know, that's the thing, man. We need competition in a lot of areas, man, because that brings out the best in players, whether it's with some of the guys that were here or the guys that we bring in. That's how you elevate the roster.
Do you still believe in what
let's be real. It's definitely not players that are on. Sir. I mean, let's be like, you had them this year and it didn't motivate. You couldn't motivate me to make a sandwich. I mean, it was that bad. So at least bring in someone that is from a different organization that wants to take someone's job. Like, that's how it should be.
I'm glad he's aware, though. I'm glad that he's aware, like, hey, man. And dude, Jeff, this is something you and we talked about a lot last offseason about when we talked about building the roster and them getting guys in this building to compete. The questions that me and you, or at least we had specifically, like offensive line, D-line, what was something that we always said in the offseason? It was bring the best players in available. It's gonna help the other players elevate. That's what Dan just said there. Literally what we were saying last offseason, Dan just said it there. It was like, it doesn't matter anymore about developing guys. It doesn't matter anymore about giving a guy an opportunity. Nothing. You bring the best players on the planet in here, whether they're first or second, and you let them go at it. But there's no more of this like, hey man, it's so nice. Like Levi Onwuzurike, man, it's such a cool story. He really has been with us since the beginning. Like, dude, no, if you're not good or you're not at that, go. Like, we don't want you. I was a Levi O guy, you know that, Jeff. I want to win. And if I'm Dan, I'm like, dude, we've given all of you the opportunity to compete, and we just went 9-8. And if you weren't in the building and weren't healthy enough to compete this year, that's on you. But guess what? We need to go out, guys, and get guys who are healthy and can compete. Because I'm tired of, like, if I'm Dan, I'm tired of this. Like, I want to win. because it's not any of your guys' name that's on the line. It's my name on the line. It's Brad's name on the line.
You know what? It definitely, to at least, again, this is just my observation. I'm not saying this is the just a feeling of mine from seeing how Brad Holmes kind of operates. He's very draft develop. We love our guys. It feels, I'm sure, and if I'm a player, I don't know how players feel, but I'm just observing. It does kind of give off sometimes like a little bit of loyalty to the wrong people. Like if you're a Brad Holmes draft pick, you're pretty safe until you're not, which is a long time. Like, for example, people hate when I do this. If Les Snead drafted Josh Paschal or Levi, by year 2, they would have been out of there. Yeah,
he would have been gone, and they would have redrafted a better player.
I think what happens when you're like Brad is guys get super comfortable because they know, like, hey, you know, you get kind of a fat tummy. You start sitting there, you ain't getting hungry no more because you know that Brad Holmes is going to keep me around. I'm going to linger. It's like, Brad, hey, if you don't have it in your draft, go get it elsewhere, dude. All right. I understand you want to draft and develop, but some of your draft picks you're trying to develop aren't developing, and they're just bad or hurt constantly. So instead of hanging on to Levi or hanging on to Josh Paschal, you should have did this last year where you brought in more guys, or Davenport. You should have brought in more guys that will take their job, and then you don't have to re-sign them. But it just feels like he's in love with his guys. Like, and you can't, and I think it gives some players the feeling of like, oh, I'm safe, you know, like I'm cool. I'm chilling, you know, like I got a spot here. Like, no, like you don't. Like Roy Lopez, I'll give Brad this credit. You brought in Roy Lopez. That dude was out for someone's job this year. Like that dude.
Because it's guys that are hungry that actually know how to compete. Yeah. And you know what? You know what's crazy? If Roy Lopez wasn't great and you just kept giving him opportunities, guess what's going to keep happening with him? He's never going to be great. The reason, in my opinion, like looking back, Jeff, the reason some of these guys probably that have been on this roster don't end up working out or they get very plateaued is because they're not competing with anyone. And when you're not playing great, guess what keeps happening when they're just like average? Their coaches and the GM just keeps going in the media and being like, just give them time. They're going to be good. They're going to be good. So like you, all the time. Yeah. So you get used to being average, and you get used to being average. Like Josh Paschal, like average. Levi, average. And it's just like, all right. After year 2, I would have been like, Deuce, like you're done. You're done. That's it. Like look how fast he moved on from Broderick. It just move on, man. Like bring players in, because then it's just a wasted roster spot. Like you signing Levi this year and not going after another edge rusher and using that 7-8 or whatever the money 4-5 it was. Like it is a little ridiculous. And the same with Marcus Davenport. Marcus Davenport, yes, he has every single tool in the world to be a great edge, and he has shown it. His highs look really good in the NFL. But you don't get his highs for a full season. You don't get his highs for 10% of a season. You just wasted money. Yeah. That's it. You wasted money. And then the same thing, it's the same thing on the D-line as it was the O-line, is you just sat on your hands until Frank retired, until Taylor Decker got old, until Graham ended up getting old. And you didn't do anything after that. And it's like, it's insane. And you're letting rookies out there. You're putting rookies. You know what, Tate and Christian Mahogany, I know Jeff, I apologize, but like they don't deserve that. If they're getting any push from fans, like they don't deserve it. They've got thrown into the fire. They literally had to take over an offensive line, Christian Mahogany and Tate Ratledge. They had to step in and replace the number 1 offensive line in the NFL. And they were expected just as rookies, boom, boom, to be great. And it was like, who's that? That's on Brad. Dude. For just throwing those guys in the fire like that and not having any sort of plan.
Mahogany got the job over 1 start, excuse me. Like he had 1 good start against Chicago, who has one of the worst pass rushers in the league last year, and he got the job. Like you couldn't have brought in a good offensive guard veteran to compete with him. That man knew no one was competing. Like you go into training camp, who was taking Mahogany's job? Yodi? All due respect. Like that dude's job was safe right away as an unproven guy. And guess what? He struggled, got injured, came back, and struggled. Like that's what Mahogany's done. So you haven't had a backup plan for him. You know, it's like, well, Brad, you banked again. You're banking. You're too loyal to your own draft picks. It's a problem. And when you're too loyal to your own draft picks, they get passive or they don't, it's like you don't really have as many. So what Dan's saying is right.
Expectations,
that's why I love what Dan said. It's like bring in competition. Yeah, you guys should have been doing that. Like you guys should and by the way, people are talking about Tom Kennedy. And I think like a reason why they're bringing it up is because like he started returning kicks and punts or whatever all of a sudden, or I think it was kicks. It was
kick returns.
Yeah,
punt return. He did do punt returns when Khalif was out,
and he looked really good. And then they're like, we're like, oh, where'd this guy come from? It's like, well, because you just write him off because he's some practice squad guy. It's like, well, he might be better than who you have already. It's like you got to start. This team should be about whoever's the. What did Dan always say? The best plays, the best man will play. Like I don't know, really. Sometimes it feels like the draft picks will get the first nod, and then after that, we'll see who's the best. It's like draft picks always get the benefit. It's like no, it shouldn't be like that, dude. Like Josh Pascal and Levi aren't good.
Well, to be fair, I'll say this: I wouldn't even blame unless Dan is in the room being like, we love Levi and Josh, we don't need anyone else. I just have a feeling that Brad's like, those are the guys you're rolling with. Like, I'm not going out and getting anything else. And I don't know if
Brad for like player acquisition, like he should have brought in another guard. Like he should have,
because Dan's sitting there like I have what I have, and obviously they do have conversations, and Dan probably gives his input and if he wants guys or not. But I just don't see a world where, if you're Dan, you're fully like, yeah, no, we're good with what we have D-line wise. Like we trust Davenport. To where when you do hear Brad, like when Brad was talking on 97.1 during training camp, like they were like he was speaking so highly of Davenport. And like the thing that we've heard back-to-back seasons Brad say in press conferences or on 97.1 is he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. It's like I honestly like I could walk down the street right now and I could probably go into Kroger and I can find like a 6'5" yoked dude that looks like he's in great shape. Does that mean he can go out there and play football and stay healthy for 17 games? No, but he works out at the Planet Fitness 2 doors down from it, and so he's yoked, and he goes in to go get a protein shake after his workout, and he's in the best shape of his life. That doesn't mean he can go out there and play football for 17 weeks.
He's not good. He's not good.
Yeah, it's just like you're like I honestly, Jeff. I'm gonna, with all due respect, because I do think Brad, and we're gonna talk about him later. I think it's one of the most asinine and insane things in the world that Brad legit for 2 straight seasons looks at Marcus Davenport and is like, that's your number 2 edge rusher. When in his career, he has done nothing consistently, nothing. And when there's guys in free agency coming out of the Eagles, different places that are having career years, and yeah, you might have to pay a couple more million, but they've shown you I could stay healthy and play. It's one of the most insane things. And you know what that is, right? Love our guys.
Dude.
Connected to guys.
The only 2 people that are surprised that Davenport wasn't A, good, and B, couldn't stay healthy are Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. No one else is surprised. Like I bet some of the players are like, like.
I wonder when that happened. If there was anyone in the building, like
maybe Hutch, because Hutch really likes him, but Hutch is a great guy. I mean, like, but it's like, dude, like no one's surprised the guy got hurt. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I wouldn't have minded if you brought Davenport back as like a flyer in an already deep room. You had the dude as your edge too.
Be careful what you say.
Well, no. Oh, yeah, that's true. They'll bring it back.
My
point being is if you had a legit, like, not AQM who's he can't defend the run and he shows up every 4 games. I mean, like a dude who's an every down guy, legit number 2 edge. And then you had Davenport and AQM kind of in there. Cool. But they didn't. Like AQM was MI. People want to look at the sacks and be like, well, I'm sure Brad will bring up the sacks. The Lions are up there in sacks. AQM was MIA for like every 4 games. You'd have like 3 sacks in a game and then it was gone for the next. There's games where he played no snaps, or played 5 snaps. And then the other games, he was like matchup dependent, really. I think that's how I describe him. Super matchup dependent. By the way, Dan, appreciate the 5. He says, I was expecting lashing and firings today, Black Monday. I hate how classy this team is. I don't think there was going to be
Black Monday. The only firings are typically just head coach and GM. And obviously the whole staff, but
I haven't seen the coordinators like yet.
I think coordinators, it takes a couple weeks. I believe is my guess.
They probably have like meetings and they talk to guys and they do different things. I don't know. You'll probably get it. You should have an answer if you're going to fire a coordinator probably by the end of the week.
Yep. Dan did mention he's like I just need a couple. He's like I need a little bit of time to to figure this one out, which I think is, in my opinion, I think it's understandable. I'd rather him make a decision, like a good decision, than like instantly just be like, I don't know. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and even keys to wisdom mentioning like defensive tackle. Like defensive tackle was the biggest issue. I mean, I'm not arguing that. I mean, we can bring that up all day. I mean, your first round pick Tyreek wasn't as good as you thought he would be early. He just wasn't. Maybe next year he has a significantly better year, but he wasn't as good as you. I mean, he just wasn't. He got outplayed by Roy Lopez. And then Aleem McNeil, do I really have to even speak about it? Like, he was on a milk carton all year. I mean,
Yep.
the guy was gone. You just were looking for him. The defense looked better when he was off the field. Imagine saying that about Hutch. You would never say that. Imagine Hutch off the field. They look better. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, that's insanity. So, yeah, the defensive tackle room was disappointing, and that was the deepest room going into the year. It's like we were all wrong. I mean, we said it. It's not like we're all like high. We were the ones saying the defensive tackle room was bad. It's like, no, everyone was saying it. It's like defensive tackle room looks pretty deep. Boy,
I'm very interested, and I was just looking at some of the free agents right now. I'm very interested in who some of like the edge rushers would be in free agency for Brad to go after. Like, if there's anyone. Because to be honest, like AQM has the 11 sacks, and when you do look at like some of the guys in free agency, you would think he might be one of the higher leaders in sacks of edge rusher free agents. But there are guys like Trey Hendrickson's a free agent. Obviously, you're probably not going to sign him, but Hassan Reddick, Joey Bosa, Malcolm Kuntz out of the Raiders. How did he do this year?
Well, you know what's what I'm curious about too about Brad? Are we still gonna, and Dan's in there too because they both say it. Are we still how far down the you need to be a Lion are we to sign players? Like, are we gonna still like half the league is disqualified apparently, or are we still gonna be a little more because I see other teams sign guys that are just, I don't know, good players. Are the Lions going to disqualify a bunch of good players because they're just not Lions? They're not a Lion type of guy. Because I'm telling you one thing, if you're talented and you have no off the field issues, welcome down. Come on over to the Lions. Because this team, the whole grit thing, half the team didn't show grit this year. And apparently this is a locker room full of grit. So I don't want to hear about like, the best free agents. Well, they're just not our guys. Then who are your guys? All right, like who the hell are your guys then? Because I promise you, a lot of those guys will find homes and they will play really well. So are Lions guys injury prone, or are they maybe there's like what's going on with that? I don't know. So I'm curious with Brad how that approach is, because I know again we expect him to make signings, but it's like, what signings? Do they have to be qualified to be Lions? Like Lions guys? Grit, like a lot of grit. Like, I'm curious how that goes. I'm not saying you got to sign an asshole, like someone who has a bunch of off the field issues, but
I do think like obviously you want to make sure of both. Like you don't want.
I'm not saying you got to sign a guy with a head case, but not saying you got to sign.
I mean, you have before.
And then they go, then they signed CD Deuce one time.
Yeah, so you signed CJ Gardner-Johnson, and I mean he's someone who's been cut like 10 times in the last 4 years.
So I'm curious with that. I don't know. We'll see. By the way, big conversation involving Taylor Decker. He had some interesting comments. It's super emotional after the game, and I don't know. That just gives me
I think he's out.
Gives me I mean, I don't know how he everything he kind of talked about in the video I'm about to play was just. I mean, you feel really bad for him. I mean, Dan Skipper said this might be the last one. That was kind of his quote. So I think Dan Skipper, apparently he has like a lower back injury that almost shut him down this year. And he's kind of contemplating retirement. You have Graham, who's also contemplating retirement, talking about injuries. And those are two kind of guys that have been here. And Taylor Decker is obviously the big one. You're starting left tackle. So here's a video of actually, I guess I could play the actual. Let me play the actual one. Let me play the Lions one, the video. It's better quality. But
do you have the full clip though? Because it is, I don't know.
Yeah, they had.
I think Eric Woodard put one out. I thought that was a really good one. It was kind of just that.
I can play that one. The audio is just really low, but I can play it. I was going to use the YouTube one, but the YouTube one's longer, so I wasn't sure. But probably should just play the one that. Yeah,
we play the YouTube one. I mean, if it's better quality, it's just long. I just don't know if you have a timestamp or anything for it.
I'll run this one, and we'll cut it off. We'll cut it off when we'll run like 2 minutes of it, a couple minutes of it. But here's Taylor Decker after the game talking about his future.
A little bit, but I think we had our opportunities this year. And again, a play here or there, and we could be in the playoffs, but that's just a hypothetical situation because we had our opportunities and we just didn't take advantage of them, and that's disappointing. But I think it's a testament to the character of the guys in this locker room that they came out to compete today and they came out to win, even though we knew we weren't going to advance.
Playing as long as you have, does it become kind of more special, more bittersweet, more emotional when you reach this point in the year and your goals weren't realized?
I've always been the type to try and just take every week for what it is, because I know that I am an emotional person. So if I kind of get in the weeds too much on that, it can kind of derail my process. So. But again, I'll go back to I think it's a privilege to play this game, and for me to be able to have played as long as I have so far, every game matters to me because I'm closer to the end than I am the beginning.
What will go into your process of talking with Kendra and making your decision for what your future might hold, and how long do you expect that might take, Taylor?
I don't have an exact timeline on it. I would imagine it's going to be a couple months. I need to get away. I need to get away from football. I need to get my body feeling better. I need to make informed decisions. I need to get second opinions. There's a lot that I have to do because I want to make this decision moving forward informed, and I don't want to make it emotionally because if I make it emotionally, I already know what the answer is going to be. But it's a massive decision, and it's not only about me. It's about my kids. I'll get emotional about that, but just to be able to show up and be the father that I want to be. It's not about do I want to play football. So that's really important to me. Because I can make the selfish decision. I can keep playing until I can't walk anymore or I can't throw the ball with my kids. But that's not what you do as a father and a husband. So that's going to weigh heavily into my decision is what is the future quality of life of mine going to look like, and how will that impact my kids?
What are you feeling right now? Can you just walk us through kind of what's in your head, your emotions right now?
I think the biggest thing is I just want to get away because it's been really challenging for me mentally, just being in pain all the time, and knowing that you have to go out there and play anyway. I mean, I'm definitely I'm just not in a good mental state right now. I'm not sleeping well. I mean, I need to get away. And I go out there and I play because I love the game and I love my teammates. But at some point, I have to make a decision for other people too. So it's not only going to be about me. Because again, if it was only about me, I would play until I couldn't anymore. So it'll be a couple months. I got a lot of people to talk to. I got a lot of MRIs to get, and it's whatever it is. It's not going to be easy one way or the other. Because if I do come back, I know what I'm signing up for as far as putting my body through it again. And I know there's potential for, catastrophic injury and things like that. But then if I'm done, then it's over. And I've been in Detroit for a third of my life, and I played football since 2002. It's weird. I told my wife this about a week and a half ago. You know how in those fantasy medieval shows, there's that old warrior, and he just wants to die in battle. I feel like that's how I feel, but I can't do that because it's not just me. Mm-hmm. It doesn't just affect me, hypothetically speaking, dying battle.
It's like the Halloween.
And that makes it harder. That makes it so much harder because I know I can still play, but what is that going to make the future of my family look like, and my future? So,
Damn, dude. Yeah, I mean, it just feel bad. I mean, the guy's just he's given everything to the Detroit Lions. I mean, he is giving everything to the Detroit Lions. That's why, I don't think people talk enough about the human side of football, which, like, again, it's a very violent sport. And for someone like Taylor Decker, who has a family, to have to go through all the injuries he's been through, he's essentially just rehabbing constantly. I mean, he's just rehabbing and then rehabbing, and he has children he has to think about. Like you said, it's not up to him. If it was up to him, he said he'd play football for a long time, but it would be kind of, he has to think about other people in his life and how, him playing football continuously affects them. Like, that's why I start to lean, like, I just don't see him playing again. I think Taylor Decker right now, like, you've had a great career. You've played an NFC Championship game. You've been a very good player. I just think watching him this year, you could tell he's lost a step. You could tell he's banged up. You could tell he's dealing with injuries. Like, it's not going to get easier. You know what I'm saying? You're with age, with, players always say you enter the year injured, you exit the year injured in the NFL. It's hard to get healthy in a season. And it just feels like, and over the last couple of years with Taylor, it's just he's always entering the year with an injury, which he leaves the year with an injury, or if it's not gotten worse. Like, Frank Ragnow had an inoperable toe. I mean, the guy retired. That's how his life is. Like, his life was altered. Like, so he retired earlier than Taylor, but it's like, I'm sure he talks to Frank. I'm sure Frank's going to be in his ear helping him out. Like, I just don't see the guy coming back, and I know he has a year left on his contract. Xavier just said. People can
there's an opt-out, right? Which obviously he could retire and probably wouldn't matter.
Maybe if he's thinking, like, I'll play the last year, whatever. I would say, as of right now, I think he retires, just based on, I know it's after a game, it's emotional. He has to get away and kind of think about it. Maybe his perspective changes, but just from, like, take away football, like, I just hope the guy, if you're thinking about it and it's affecting you that much, like, maybe you've already made that decision, maybe you're
I don't think there was another part of that interview too, later, like a little bit later on, where he talks about, like, the actual process of what he's been doing this. And obviously there you heard he's, like, sleep deprived, and he talked about, like, the rehab that he has to do to where he's up all night.
Therapy and all the therapies.
Yeah. Like, he's like, I'm seeing my kids a little bit, but he was like, even when I do therapy all day at the facility, and then I come home and I'm doing therapy while my kids are around me. And then he's like, and then the kids go to bed and he's like, I'm up until 10 o'clock again doing therapy. Then I go to bed, and he's like, then I wake up at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I go right to the facility to do therapy again. And he's like, I'm not getting sleep. I'm in pain. Like, it's tough. And he's like, I've gotten, like, I don't know. I think he said like 20 injections or I don't know if it was 20. It was like maybe 15 different injections this year. Like, he's going through it, man. And you could tell, like, it's hitting him hard. I'm with you. I do think that he's gonna hang it up, because when you do get to a point, like, for him being like the way he breaks it down, it's like he's making the decision for his family. And I don't know if it was in that part or if it's later on, but he essentially just said, like, he said it's selfish of him to keep playing football and not being a father or a husband or whatever it is, like. And I just don't think people realize sometimes, like, how much some of these guys go through, especially, I would say this, especially like offensive linemen, man, in the trenches like that. That's probably one of the most positions in the NFL where you're going to get beat up the most. And he's done it for a long time, dude. Taylor Decker, he's been in it with the Lions and at Ohio State and forever. So, listen, whatever he does, I respect it. The only thing I'll say about this, and yeah, you want to be like, take the time you need. He did say he might need a couple months, and I don't know if that will affect free agency and as well as the draft. But if I'm Brad, I'm not making the mistake I made with Frank. I'm approaching this offseason, especially the draft. I've told you this, Jeff. I told the boys it yesterday. Like, I really don't know if I want to see a mock draft with the Lions taking anything but an offensive tackle in the first round. I don't. Like, I just think you have to be safe. And even if Taylor returns next year, my guess, knock on wood, if he returns, I want to knock on wood that there's going to be times he might be injured and you need a tackle. And there were times this year, like you saw, where, you know, he might have missed a couple games and then Panay missed a game. And I mean, last night, we didn't even know who the right tackle was. Like, he was a practice squad. We've never heard of him. Like,
Yeah,
you don't want to be, like, you just don't want to be in that position next year. And I would rather have a first round guy that's going to, you know, take Taylor Decker's spot, whether he's there or not next year. And he can even, if Taylor's there, then Taylor moves for a little bit or plays for a little bit. And then, you know, when he's hurt or if he needs, you know, someone to come in for him, you have that first round pick ready to go. And then the next year you have Panay and a first rounder that's developed at that point ready to go. But I think you just have to pull out, you have to go into this offseason with the mindset Taylor Decker is, you know, you need to replace him in the first round this year.
Yeah,
I feel for him too. That stuff sucks, man. I feel for Taylor Decker.
Yeah, you got to prioritize it because if he retires, I think the exact number is around $15 million. It's like a $14.9 million base salary. He's got a couple million in roster bonuses, workout bonuses that could be freed up. Though I think there'll be about $9 million or so in dead cap next year. But it would, again, his retirement would essentially remove some of it, his large base salary and roster bonuses. So you'd create cap space if he were to retire, which, like, for the Lions, if he does, I mean, it would definitely benefit the Detroit Lions. I think he has to do it before a certain date. I think it's like June 1st, I think. Could be wrong. June 1st, maybe? I think is the actual date.
It's a long time after the draft and a long time after free agency.
Yeah, I think that's the date. But anyway, yeah, that's the money they would save. So like $15 million, man, is a lot of money. Like that's like that's a basically 80%, 90%, 80% probably of what Tyler Linderbaum would command. So it's like if you are freeing up,
that was my point. That was my point last week was, and I know Caleb was like, that's mean to do to him. But I do think there's a world, like, again, like, I think you see the emotion with Taylor Decker. He's been in Detroit like a lot of his life, but I do think you do, like, it's a lot of money, man. And that interior, if you can get a first round Caden Proctor or one of the Utah guys or the tackle from Miami, like, there's some guys who can fill in instantly and go to right tackle, and you can move Panay. If you can get Lindenbaum, man, if you could just sit Taylor down and say, dude, I understand, like, we can opt out of this and save a lot of money. Like, it saves us money, and we can go get a center. We can go get Lindenbaum. We can do it. That was my point last week when I said that. Like, you just tell them, like, hey, either we're gonna opt out or you can retire. I know it's a bad thing because you don't have the choice, but it is what it is, man. It's so much money that you're owed. And this offensive line underperformed.
Yeah, I think Chris Hubbard is the name. Chris Hubbard. He was on the practice squad. He's 34 years old. Played last year for the Giants, but he started in some games in his career. He's played in some games, man. So I didn't even know where Hubbard came from. He's 34. He's a vet. I thought he was like a young guy.
He might have been like one of those guys like you randomly like signed in the middle of the week. Yeah, when and it just went over all of our heads, and we were just like, oh, like just to tackle. Like, wow, we didn't really. And did you see, by the way, Kingsley? Did you see what happened to him?
He didn't even start in the game.
He wasn't even active. He was a part of the inactives. I don't know if that's because he was injured or if that was just them. Like, that's insane.
They promised him a starting job, and then he was inactive.
That's nuts. Unless Dan was lying about that, I don't see a world where Dan would have went out in the media and lied about what he was told by them.
Yeah, you didn't even get to see him. Like, it's your last game of the year. Wouldn't you want to see a guy like the guy you just brought in that you like a lot? I mean, maybe they made an offseason.
That's why I think maybe Kingsley got there and was hurt or got hurt in practice or something.
Yeah, I did see that.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, he went to the Browns and was inactive when Dan said he went to the Browns to maybe start a game. So, yeah.
He was like, they promised a starting spot. We couldn't do that. When he said that, I was like, oh, good for Kingsley. And then he's inactive.
Yeah. By the way, you could have an offensive line. I mean, Panay could be like the oldest guy here next year. Not
Should
oldest, literally oldest. They'll probably have vets, but like the most experienced. Like he'll be the oldest starter, unless like Frank comes back, I guess. But I don't think he is. So it'll probably be Panay, Tate, Mahogany competing. Maybe they bring in like a Tyler or a rookie left tackle. That's like. It is kind of crazy. It's like turning the tide. Now, Panay even talked about it today. He's like, I'm losing all my vets. Like Big V.
You are the vet.
Big V was there. Remember Big V? I think he was. Yeah, Vaitai was there, and Panay loved him. He was gone. He retired.
I forgot about some of these guys that
Big V retired.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. Big V retired, and then
probably
Decker
medical, right?
Retired. Frank retired. That's like 4 of the dudes he was with. Probably medical, yeah. Something that he was.
Yeah, Graham, by the way, Graham's like, I'm not going to announce it publicly.
What?
There was a video. I guess there was a video today. I don't know. Like, here, I can see if I can find it. We can play it. But Graham as well was, I saw a quote. Let me see if someone put a video out. I saw a quote that Graham was asked about it. And oh, yeah, here it is. Graham, by the way, Graham looks just like Spencer, or Spencer looks just like Graham.
He's
especially this video right here.
That's Spencer.
All your attention last night.
I didn't want any attention, so I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah. This kind of the theme in the room is like, is this it? Is it not it? Like, where are you kind of landing right now, Graham, with what your future looks like in this league?
I'm still under contract next year, so unless that changes, I'm a Detroit Lion. But, I guess I don't know.
Skipper for stealing.
I guess I read the wrong quote, but I guess he wants to be here next year.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real. If you're Graham, like Graham hasn't made as much money as like Decker or Frank. Like if I'm Graham, like cash that last check in at least before you retire. Like cash another. Get some more money, bro.
Yeah.
I know he just wants to play video games and chill. Probably be a streamer, and he plays like Counter-Strike and shit and streams. Like he's definitely an introvert, just likes hanging out.
Yep.
He's
I'll tell you what, dude.
Super introverted, you could tell.
For sure. I'll tell you what, if there was just like a player that I would love to just hang out with, like Graham would be a cool guy. Graham's a guy's guy. He just seems like he liked to like drink beer, like he did the beer Olympics with those guys. Like he's the video we posted a couple weeks ago of him like he does the chug,
annihilating a beer. Yeah,
dude, he's probably a great time. That's why I hate sometimes saying bad things about Graham, because I was like, I would like to hang out with Graham one day. And he's probably Graham's
a good depth piece. I think he's good depth, but I don't know
if you have him coming off like your sixth man and in like your interior, 100%. Not just at center, at left guard, right guard, whatever you need him.
Positions for you, like, I mean, $8.5 million is hell of a backup, though. I think that's what he's got. Like Tim just put in there, it's an expensive backup. But
yeah, but like, what happens if you cut him? I don't like. Oh, there's a $2.8 million dead cap, which isn't that crazy. But I mean, if you're gonna have him in there, it's like that is a good 6 man to have, because there's gonna be injuries.
There will be. You see it every single year. Which, by the way, people were asking about the practice habits. Remember, I mentioned
this morning you had mentioned that.
Yeah, I talked about it today. And again, I'm not saying the Lions got to change everything about what they do, and it's time to freak out and do everything the opposite. But it is an interesting conversation, because Grant Stewart first got here to Detroit and was like, "Yeah, the Dolphins don't practice like the Lions," and like everyone at the time was like, "Oh, the Dolphins, like they lose. Like of course they don't practice like us." And then you have Avonte Maddox go on Amon-Ra St. Brown's podcast, and he won a Super Bowl, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't practice like you guys." And he been to like 2 Super Bowls or 3 Super Bowls, whatever it is. So it's like, and then you start to think like, okay, they've won doing it the other way. So it's like, all right, maybe you start to think a little bit. But that's like multiple players being like, yeah, you guys practice like psychos. And then Dan talked about it today. He's like, no, like we believe in he addressed it actually. Dan talked about it, and he was pretty adamant that, the way they do things is the way they do things. He said, that's what they do.
I feel like that at some point they're going to have to maybe just,
I don't know. People just want to fire the strength and conditioning guy. like that'll fix everything that happens on the field. But
I put in the chat earlier. It's like Dan always says, like when he it's kind of funny too. I think in the last couple of years, he always mentions and brings up that there's a video that came out a couple years ago where he's like, I love you guys. All I think about is you guys. Like, I know you guys don't want to be hitting today, but I'm telling you, hitting today, like that's going to get you ready for the season. Like you're going to be, I think essentially he feels like it's going to callous them up, like, hey, if we hit today in 4 months, you're going to be like really good. When maybe it isn't. Maybe that's just like you're calloused up. Maybe your body's just eventually going to wear out. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But it's something to think about with Dan. I think he's always gonna have that mindset.
I want to see. I don't know. They don't have like a list. I wonder how many padded practices like every team had, because there is a maximum allowed padded practices. I think the NFL allows, it says a maximum of 14 padded practices during the regular season. So I wonder how many, teams can probably vary. It's like there's a max limit, and then there's how many, actually utilize the full 14. But there's a limit. I wonder if the Lions hit that limit every year. I don't know exactly. That's probably another point for another day, but they've cut down a lot on those, the NFL. That's
yeah, you can't do 2-a-days anymore. Like there's just they've definitely cut back. But Dan, I think my guess is Dan pushes it to the limit. Like we're hitting pads. That is so interesting, man. I wonder if they I wonder, I wish we could go back in time, like go back to the future, or not the future, back to the past, right? Wouldn't that be it? And you just tell Dan, like, hey, you're gonna have so many injuries this next 2 years. Try and lay off practice a little bit. I mean, if we got to see if it changed anything.
I mean, even like Gerhard says, how are there so many 20 to 25-year-old players popping their Achilles? I'm telling you, it's because of the fields. I'm telling you, it's the field, and I know, but the turf, like the whole argument there with like what certain stadiums use on the ground. I'm telling you what, the NFL will put up these tweets or whatever information of like, we've had a low number of Achilles and ACL injuries. I think they had like one of their lowest years with that, with ACLs and Achilles, but they don't mention how many soft tissue injuries people are having. Like soft tissue, I think soft tissue injuries are up, not just like Achilles and ACL. Maybe ACL tears are down.
I would say it feels like Achilles tears. Feels like Achilles have been happening way more often in the NFL. Maybe I'm wrong with that, but
hamstrings, like, dude, I watch hamstrings. I feel like hamstrings happen like every week. You guys pulling their hamstring, and you have, obviously the Achilles, the ACL injuries, stuff like that. But and then you have
is there even though, like, I guess you could just be like, hey, you got to play on the grass, like natural grass. But like, is there like even then, like, there's going to be issues? Maybe I'm wrong with that, but I feel like they've tried so many different types of things. It's like there's always going to be some sort of issue with any sort of surface. No. Am I wrong with that?
Yeah,
Maybe the natural grass is different.
It really, well, yeah, it is playing. There's a difference because someone just put it in there. Actually, it's a good point. Devil Dog 80 says almost every high school and college have turf too. They are getting these injuries. It feels like it happens more often than not on turf. Doesn't mean that you switch fields, all of a sudden injuries will stop. There always will be like those type of injuries.
It's going to be a new story. In my
remember,
opinion.
like MetLife. Like MetLife, there's always injuries at MetLife. You ever notice that? Like Achilles.
Yeah.
That's like the big thing they got over there. Like in New York, just gets a lot of shit because MetLife has a bunch of injuries on the field. Some fields, man, how they operate, it does matter. The NFL probably should look into that shit. I mean, for being real. But whatever, I digress. You had a question. You had a Booner question today. Can we get to that? I want to hear your.
I enjoy these questions a little bit.
Yeah, the question. I want to know it.
Yeah, it's for you. It's for the people. Because it really it just, I saw here on the show we're doing offensive line. Talking Brad Holmes. My question to you, Jeff, to the people. Today is day one, and by the way, there was a lot of moves that were made today. The Lions did sign a couple players, including Saginaw Valley.
Yeah,
corner.
Future contracts.
Nick Whiteside got signed to a contract today. But my question to the people, like, it's day one of the offseason. I want to see where the fan base and you are, Jeff. I'm going to do this 1 out of 10 confidence level. in the Detroit Lions general manager, Brad Holmes, to actually have a good offseason and put the right pieces together this offseason. And I'm not just talking like one position group. I'm talking free agency, NFL draft, and then the trade market this offseason as well included, because that is an offseason thing, in building this team back to where it needs to be to maintain. I want to know the confidence level since we are day one, because it could change, right? Once you start seeing moves done, all right, confidence goes up, down, whatever. But day one, we are finally here, January 5th, 9 o'clock, Jeff. 1 to 10, where are you at with the confidence and trust with Brad Holmes to turn this thing around and to get this thing back on track?
Okay, so I think every year for me, this has gone down. If you asked me this 2 years ago, like for him to continue building a contender, I probably would have given you like an 8, probably an 8, or I would have been higher. But to where we're at now, I'm probably at about a 5, if I'm being real. And
wow.
I think what I have to factor in a little bit of what resources is he working with, mixed in with what I believe. What do I expect out of Brad? I'm not super confident. I think Brad has a lot to prove, so that's why the rating's down. And I think he has lots to work with, which means why it's down more. So I'd probably go 5. I'm right in the middle. I've gone down to about right in the middle. I'm not. I think 5 is like the perfect. I know it's, I
would like to go, like, for me, because I get it. Like, you're right in the middle. Like, you're just like, I need to see it still. I still believe that he can do it. So I feel like if I believe he can and he's going to have a good offseason.
Draft classes and the last, it kind of like knocked it down.
Bring it down. Yeah. I think just if you believe it, I'm going to go over a little bit and go like 6 or 7. Like, that's where I would go. Just because okay. Instead of saying a 6 or 7, I'm just gonna say 6.5 going forward. I'm right in the middle, 6.5. But no, that's where I think I would, because I do think he could get it done, man. There's something in me that really is like back against the wall. Maybe Brad Holmes does. Maybe he does know how to do this thing. Maybe he will do it. You saw the video of him yesterday in the post game. He looked mad. Like he was so mad. Yeah, like he has something to prove. So I'm going to say I'm going to go 6. I'm not going to say 7, 6.5.
Okay.
A lot of people are low in the chat, by the way.
Okay, so let's go. Let's see what people were saying. So I saw it start us off. I see Phenom 6 out of 10. J Robo, just being honest, 4. Austin says 6. JC says 6. SW Lion 5. Michael Daly 5.7. What a number, by the way. Tim says 6.5.
He's right there as well. There we go, Tim.
6.5. Streams only 3. Full slate 4. 5 from Xavier. Derek says I'd go with 7. Purple Prince 6. Dana hit a 2.
2. Wow, Dana.
7.5, and then Lions 57 7. So between 5 and 7, something like that. Usually a lot of, maybe a couple 4s, but
was that on purpose? What you just did?
5 and 7.
Yeah, I thought you just did this one.
Yeah, well, that's about where J Robo just bumped it up to 5. He was at 4, so I think we can say average between 5 and 7. Something like
crazy that we're not even like no one's at like 8 or 7. Like,
yeah, I think it's just the last. I think after that Brian Branch draft class, there's some moves at the deadline where you're like, damn it, Brad. But you thought like, okay, this guy can clearly hit out a bunch of draft picks. I'll probably say 8, 8.5 if you want to play the half game. But now it's like, okay, you got 2 draft classes that are kind of butt cheeks. You know what it is. And you're running out of money to spend. So how confident am I? Not that confident. Doesn't mean I don't think he can do it. I'm just less confident than I have been in the past. I just am. I'm less confident than I have been in the past. Purple Prince says Jeff convinced me Brad has a lot to do and not a lot of recourses to do it. AG says Jeff just started 5-7.
You did 5-7. Started at crunch time.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let me. You want to get to the staff stuff? I was excited. So we got the Calvin Shepard stuff we wanted to talk about, and Dan Campbell spoke about it, and the future that's with his staff. Calvin Shepard, you got Johnny Moe. They both spoke to the media. So let me play this clip here from Dan Campbell, and then we'll kind of react to it. Then we'll get to later the guys that were fired today. We'll talk about that. But here's the clip.
The first thing I got to figure out is the staff. I need to make sure that where do we go from here? I just need to make sure that I feel good about where the guys are at, the positions they're in, or do we tweak a couple of things, move a couple of guys? Do we stay pat? Those are the things I got to sort through. That's the first for me. That's what I got to get through. And I got to do some digging here.
Staff. That's a big one for Dan. What do you do with your staff? He was
first thing this offseason. Staff.
He was asked about play calling. He said, I'm just going to do what's best for the team. And he did mention it is a big benefit if I call plays because then I can't get poached. We don't have to worry about losing our offensive coordinator every year. He acknowledged that, which I thought.
What are your thoughts on that? You specifically?
No, I will always say I prefer my head coach to be a play caller. I prefer it.
You've said that for a while.
I think it's important. I think it's very important. It's such an advantage in the NFL. Can't hire your head coach away if he's a play caller. I think there's been moments maybe where I've been critical of Dan's play calling, situational awareness sometimes. But if he wanted to call plays and he thrives at it, man, that's your best case. That would be awesome. Clearly, awesome. I think the interesting part of that is he said whatever's best for the team. It's still on the table that he says maybe I should just let someone else do it. I can just be the CEO. I think that's where he might think he can thrive. He can focus on everything. He doesn't have to worry just about the coordinator spot. Or excuse me, the play calling. He can focus on both coordinators, everything, the complete team. So that's going to be a big one for Dan.
Yeah.
Where you want to call plays?
I'll say this, like him going into this off, like the offensive coordinator one is going to be the most interesting to me because I do think there's a world, Jeff, in this offense where it's going to be hard for Dan to trust someone else to call the plays after, the John Morton failing, especially with the system that I think the hardest part about it is you've had that Ben Johnson system, which is also, you could say like a Dan Campbell system, Dan and Ben. And was that smile towards, was what my comment there?
No, people in the chat.
I thought you were saying the Dan and Ben thing. But I think it's that style where it's like you bring a new OC and like say you bring in Kevin Stefanski or someone in, like, do they try and change it? Like, what are their, what do they try and do? With Dan, it's the same offense. It's just imagine Dan Campbell calling plays if they fix the offensive line. I've said it. I think it would be a lot better. It'll look a lot better than it did the last 5 or 6 weeks. But that's definitely something that he has to consider, and it's going to take time. And I think obviously the DC side of things as well. And you heard it there. Like I got to look at my staff. That's why I said earlier in the show, like I think a lot of people in that building are walking around on pins and needles. Like is my job safe? And they might not know for a week or two because it's going to take Dan time. And it's not a decision you want to rush into, but you have to make the right one. And Jeff, to this point, like we've talked about it the last 6 or 7 months in regards to the coordinators, like the Eagles when they messed up, and then Nick Sirianni went out and hired 2 vet coordinators. Like Dan has a decision to make, and I think this might, outside of the O-line this offseason, it's going to be one of the most important parts of this offseason for the Lions is your coordinators, whether you keep them or you go get new ones. But that decision is going to be one of the most important things that you do all offseason. And that starts off like the first 2 weeks of this offseason. And that's why I think Dan's like, I'm not going to make any decisions today, tomorrow, this week. I'm going to sit down and we're going to figure this thing out. Because I think Dan knows that it's a massive deal. I think he does. And it is. So take all the time you need. Obviously you want to sooner rather than later so you don't lose out on candidates. But I understand.
Yeah, it's a big decision. I mean, Dan, you got to get your staff right. Dan can't miss on his staff, man. It's not like a draft where Brad can have, 70% of a draft be hits, 30% be misses, or 60-40, and you could still get away with it. You have to go 2 for 2. You can't go 1 for 2. You got to go 2 for 2.
Yep.
You got to hire 2 studs. I mean, That's all you got to do. There's no room for error. And he did talk about the defense, and he said that he was asked about the run defense against the Bears. They were a high-powered rushing attack, and they don't push them to 60 yards. He said, complimentary football, we put together a complete game, but there's no way you don't look at the entirety of the season and be like, man, like, do I feel like with the coordinators I have now, we can out-scheme any coaching staff in the NFL? Do we feel like with me, Calvin, in ROC, or me and Calvin, if I'm calling plays, can we both out-scheme anyone in the NFL? I don't know how you can look at what Calvin did this year and be like, whatever scheme he's running was working. I think he mentioned in the press conference, if I'm not mistaken, that they want to get back to what they were doing. And I think he meant from a schematic standpoint. Like he said, we want to get back to what we were years ago. Like that's, I don't know, again, you can't get Ben, obviously, or AG, but I think what he meant was whatever we were working with, recipe-wise, identity-wise, we got to get back to what that was. And I think part of that is, to your point, offensive line. I think some of that's defensive line, right? Trenches. I think that's really what it is. The trenches, what they were in the trenches, the run game, defending the run, etc. But he did mention that. So I think the coordinators will be based, if they do, again, if they fire Calvin, I hope that the Lions are shopping for 2 new coordinators. I'll say that. They got to get someone that fits, obviously, what they want to do. But you've seen it. Like people, I saw this question too. It's like, well, Jeff, you bring in 2 new coordinators. You got to implement 2 new systems. Like, are you worried about that? It's like, the Eagles did that. They did that. These guys are professionals, man. Like, they know it. I know there's a benefit to playing in the same scheme, but what good is playing in the same scheme if the scheme's not working? It's like, well, look what they did with the Eagles. Brought in Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore. They changed schemes. I mean, I'm sure some of it was similar, but 2 new play callers, and they were great right away. You can do it, especially a veteran guy, a veteran OC, a veteran DC who's implemented game plans, implemented systems before. They can do it. So I think that's going to be something Dan weighs on. I hope he makes that decision. I hope he hires 2 new coordinators. And you're already seeing a lot of guys kind of be available. Guys, I mean, it's only been Monday. It's only been one day. Look how many guys are getting fired. It's like
some of these guys might, still get coaching jobs, head coaching jobs, but a lot of these guys aren't, right? Like Jonathan Gannon. Like if you do make a defensive move,
he ain't getting
Jonathan.
So to your point.
Yeah, Raheem Morris, he's not going to get another one. Like there are guys out there who are good DCs, man. And it's literally similar to the Robert Saleh, Dennis Allen type of thing, to where they just didn't work out as the head coach, but they're very, very good at what they do and what their kind of focus is, which is the defensive side of the ball. And if you really want to go out there and make a splash, I think honestly, some of the keywords that I think, Jeff, we need to look at with Dan Campbell when he talks about the staff is he did say moving things around a little bit when it comes to the coaching staff. And when I don't know if he fully just means like rehiring people or if he means moving, like we had that conversation, like Shep back to linebackers coach and bringing in a new DC, because that would be a movement that I would be like, okay, like I understand why he did that. And you bring Raheem Morris in because he's been a DC and he's been good at it. You go out there and get a defensive guy who's very, very elite and he's proven. So I'm very interested to see how Dan goes about that. That's, in my opinion, that's what I would do. Again, we're not in the building.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys available. I mean, you had, like you mentioned some names, and I made a video today kind of talking about some potential names, and I put my name in a hat of a couple guys. I don't have at this point, there's a clear number 1 guy. Can we all mutually agree? A clear number 1 guy. I'm not talking about probability. I'm just talking about possibility. Brian Flores. Can we agree that dude is clearly going to be the hottest name in football when it comes to like if he's not a head coach, a defensive coordinator, clearly. So like that's obviously, it should be everyone's number 1. And if it's not, it should be, and you should keep watching film of Brian Flores' defenses until you decide otherwise. Like he is the number 1 guy.
I just got an alert, by the way, that said Brian Flores could be a leading candidate for the Cleveland Browns head coaching position.
Damn it.
I just got that alert. When you guys see, by the way, people probably see me looking off camera here, just making sure there's breaking news not coming through ever. I have so many Twitter alerts on every single NFL insider on my phone, just waiting for something. And we're that season now, Jeff. Insider Boone, like I'm back. We're officially back.
Now
I should get insider right above that. Insider Booner.
Booner. Now Brian Flores, he deserves it. He deserves it. He might be blackballed. I don't know how they're gonna. He should get a head coaching gig. He wasn't a bad head coach. People like I know he had some drama with Tua and stuff, but Brian Flores can lead men.
I think the reason he just got fired was because the whole thing that happened. I think he just got pushed out.
Yeah, because he
squeezed out.
Yeah, he's a head coach material. He can lead men. I mean,
he got fired for winning. Actually, they asked him to lose. They said, "Hey, we need to lose," and he was like, "I won't do that." And then he got fired. Isn't that what happened?
Well, yeah, that was there was a lot of different things. That was one of them. Not a lot of things he did wrong, but there was a lot of drama with. It's the Dolphins, man. Like Brian Flores deserves better than the Dolphins. I mean, he does. But that was one of them. Yes. Brian Flores. Okay, so Brian Flores should be number one. Probably not going to happen. Whatever. That should be like the ideal number one. Then you get into this next tier of like guys that interest you or people coaches that are intriguing. One of those guys is technically right now still he's free. And I have context I want to add after I say the name, but it's former Detroit Lions head coach Jim Schwartz. All right, defensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns. He is technically available. Now, here's the context I got to give you. Two things. One, the players want him to be the head coach, or like players are advocating for this guy to be interviewed for that coach. And he might get interviewed.
Is that real?
Yeah, I saw reporting of that. And B, Jimmy Haslam already said, owner of the Browns, they want to bring back Jim Schwartz in a defensive coordinator role or bring him back. So they want to keep him. They love him in Ohio, Cleveland. So again, I think we'll see. And then I'll add another thing. The third one is, will he come back to Detroit? I don't know.
There's an ego problem. I'm saying he has an ego, but if you're a head coach somewhere, it's probably hard to go back to be a coordinator.
Vance Joseph did it. Someone just put in the comments because he was the head coach in Denver. Now he's the DC. But it takes certain amount of maturity and like, okay, I don't mind going back to a place I was the head coach. So I don't know if Jim Schwartz is realistic. I don't, but it would be awesome. I mean, Jim Schwartz is a great defensive coach. And then you get the Raheem Morrises, you get the Jonathan Gannons, and then you get to kind of, at least right now, this could change. Obviously, there's more guys that could be fired. And then you get to maybe what John McElroy suggested. Maybe you go hire an assistant, which, by the way, here we go with unproven again. But I'm just saying this could also be an option. You go hire an assistant, a part of a really good defensive staff. Like you go look on Denver's staff, or you go look at, someone, Vic Fangio's staff or something. I don't know. You go hire.
I do think, honestly, and I hate to say this, I brought it up at one point when with Shep Jeff was like this defense, even with AG, wasn't like there were parts that were good, but they weren't like a top 5 defense in the NFL. To where you were like, this is a defense with an identity, right? Where you were like, hey, this thing is a problem. Where in the past, like you see, like 49ers, their defense has always been very good. Like the Ravens that went for a while were really like that some of these defenses, like, oh, hey, if you get a guy on that staff, like he knows he's been around great defenses for a long time. I can do that. I could deal with that. I actually could.
Has the Detroit Lions defense ever been feared under Dan Campbell?
No.
Like Aaron Glenn and under Kelvin?
I mean, they might have feared like guys like Kirby and stuff, but I don't know about like as a whole, like, man.
Like you ever think like a quarterback is like, oh man, we're playing that defense tomorrow.
A quarterback's like, yes, I get to throw for 400 yards.
Like you ever think like, dude, like you ever think
Nick Mullins?
That's a good point.
Throws for 500 yards versus the Lions.
Like you think if quarterbacks are playing like the Broncos defense or the Texans defense, you're thinking they're sitting there going, holy shit, this is going to be a long day tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like we're going to play a defense that is going to get after us. Like no one's ever thought that about the Lions defense.
No, there's no way.
That's what makes me angry as someone who watches the Lions. It makes me angry. I'm not that you have to have the best defense of all time, but can we at least get a defense that's like, Like, this is a good defense. Like, this is a good defense, you know? Nope. Never happened. You know what they think to themselves? Running backs this year, like, yes, we're going to play well tomorrow. Quarterbacks are like, yes, I'm going to put
quarterbacks like, I'm about to have a career game. I'm going to throw for my first 300-yard game today.
Mobile quarterbacks are like, yes, I'm going to run all over the place. And then also, well, actually, Kelvin's done a decent job of that. But you get my point. All right. And then offenses are going to be like, hey, we're going to score a bunch of points this week. So that's what
I do think there was like a moment with AG, though, where the defense, like running backs, hated to play against the Lions because the run defense was so good. They were first or second in the league the last 2 years.
They were humming on their run defense was really good
for like 2 straight years. It was just like no one would ever run on the Lions. And it felt good because it was like, all right, you got to beat us through the air, which they would. But
they always would.
But it was good, though, the fact that, you at least had something to hang your hat on, right? Like you knew, like, hey, at least we're going to stop the run.
Yeah, then teams still obviously they moved the ball on them. Like, I get all that, but to your point, like at least they had some areas. Like people just put in the chat the 2014 Lions. That was the last time you can say that the number 2 defense in the league. That's a defense. Number 2 defense in the league. It's Sue. I mean that was when you had dudes all over, pass rushers.
But it feels like you need to, like.
I mean, you had dudes on that defense. You know what I mean?
Crazy thing is like that defense. What'd you say?
12 years ago.
That was 12 years ago. But that defense, like every position you could be like, hey, we have dudes. You have dudes on this defense, but there are just so many. There are still just so many holes. Like, and you just don't have good schemes sometimes. And then it's like, the crazy part is it's like you get done and then after you're like, hey, that scheme, you got gashed for 1 million yards in the run game. And then the coach, instead of being like, yeah, that was a bad scheme, like, hand up. Yeah, like we have no excuse. Last year we were second in the league in the run game. Now we're getting gashed. That's not on me. We're actually not getting gashed. And then it's like, no, you actually are. Like no one wants to take accountability.
Mm-hmm. That was it. And also, by the way, Aaron Glenn, did you see that too? Dude.
First time in NFL history.
I have never, and he gave up. I have to check. Adam Schefter,
defensive head coach.
They gave up, which by the way, like that, I'd fire him. I mean, I already told you, if that was me, I love Aaron Glenn as a man, as a football guy, but just if I'm like a unbiased, I'm firing him. That's bad. That's really bad. Because like, dude, they're not only did their defense, he's a defensive guy. Their defense couldn't stop a lick.
Yeah.
But on top of that, they gave up like, I forgot what Adam Schefter said. It was like a certain amount of points in December. It was like an all-time amount of points. Like they got outscored. They got dominated every single game. And it hasn't happened in like NFL history, the amount of points that he gave up. And then they never got a pick, which has never happened.
Defensive head coach.
It's like, dude.
What's crazy is when he took that team over, that was like a really good defensive team. Like the Jets the last few years. Yeah, but they like for years, like the Jets were like the only thing they had was like
Robert
their defense.
Saleh, you always knew they had a good defense.
Yeah. And you would think though with AG, like, hey, well, at least we'll hang our hat on a defense.
And they were
if I'm them, I would just go out and get a new head coach.
Dude, they were bad. They were bad with Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner.
That's what I'm saying. Like at the beginning of the year, they were bad. They had everyone at the beginning of the year.
They were bad with those guys. Phenom says they lost by an average of 23 points. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's a tough place to win, man. And then now they pick number 2 overall, by the way. No quarterback wants to go to that shithole.
Yeah, I saw Todd McShay. And Todd McShay, I think, does incredible like draft coverage. Todd McShay, he had put it there. He was like, if I'm Dante Moore, I would reach out. I would have my team reach out to the Raiders and say, hey, are you guys going to take me? And if they say no and they're not willing to lock it in, then if I'm Dante Moore, I would go back because there's a 0% chance that he didn't say just Dante Moore. He said there's no chance anyone wants to go play for the New York Jets. He was like, if you're a player, I don't see why you would want to play for the Jets.
No one wants to play there, man.
They've drafted good. They've had good players there, and nothing's come out of it for any of them.
Get free Garrett Wilson.
I swear, man. Breece Hall, free Breece Hall, man.
Breece Hall, free those guys, man.
They paid Justin Fields What did they pay him, like 2 for like 60 or something?
Yeah.
270 or something. I don't know. 2 for 70.
The Raiders fired Pete Carroll too. I saw that. I mean, we knew that. I mean, it's like you see Tom Brady's trying to put together like a superstar staff. He was saying he wants Brian Daboll and Brian Flores as his OC and DC. He doesn't know the head coach, but he knows what OC and DC he wants. So it's like he's the one that
helped hire Pete Carroll.
I know. He was clear. He was clearly like they must have saw him as just like
a bridge. They must have someone in mind then.
It might be Seattle's OC. That guy's a stud. Clint Kubiak. From that Kubiak tree. It's a Shanahan system over there. They got going. Clint Kubiak's probably one of the hotter offensive guys. Like hotter names, man. Like it just is. And well, Kevin Stefanski. I also saw some report. Apparently, I don't know. Mike Florio put it out. I don't know. If, again, you never know now with social media, but I swear I saw something by Mike Florio. I think it is Mike Florio. Could be wrong. That the Packers, if they fire Matt LaFleur, could be interested in Kevin Stefanski.
I saw this as well, but I don't understand. Like,
please do that.
Who in the cycle is better than Matt LaFleur?
He would be Matt LaFleur would
get a job right away.
It would be. I mean, you would have everybody calling Matt LaFleur. I mean, he would be right away reached out to. It would
every single opening would like do if Matt LaFleur got fired, the Raiders would hire him, and then they would have Brian Daboll OC and Matt LaFleur. Well, I guess Matt LaFleur calls plays. So
that's like, dude. Yeah, the Raiders would call, Titans would call, every team would call.
Would love to have Kevin Stefanski as a head coach in the NFC North. Bring it on.
I would,
please.
Yeah, I think Kevin Stefanski's. I don't think he's a great coach. I just don't. He's the guy.
2-time coach of the year, by the way.
Which, like, I get he never had a quarterback. I get that, but like, come on, like Stefanski from like culture. He never had a culture in Cleveland. I know Cleveland's a tough spot, but he just never figured anything out. I mean, the guy was getting out schemed by,
and he probably was right there to get rid of Baker too. I bet.
The disaster over there. And they kept their GM, which a lot of teams kept their GM today too. Joe Sheen in New York, they kept him.
Yeah, Andrew Berry stays in Cleveland.
They kept Andrew Berry, and then I think Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, brought up how he drafted a kicker. He was like, "Well, he did hit on this kicker we got, or something like that." Everyone's like, "What the fuck? You bringing up a kick? Like that's one of his best accomplishments." The Bengals brought back Zach Taylor and Duke Tobin, I think his name is.
I honestly, if I'm being honest with you, GM fired. I think Zach Taylor's a good coach.
Yeah, I'm
in my opinion,
Zach Taylor.
Yeah, I think it's a GM. I don't think the GM's giving an all line, man.
No, and their defense sucks.
And they refuse to pay people, man. The GM just has not done a good job when it comes to money and at building a roster. I think Zach Taylor's a good coach. What the fact that Zach Taylor helped take them to a Super Bowl with what they had, I think you stick with him and
for sure.
Give him a chance.
Yeah, I don't mind them keeping Zach Taylor at all. I think their GM sucks. I think the interesting teams coming up, like the Dolphins, might keep Mike McDaniel.
That's
what they were saying. Apparently, he might be safe because he isn't fired today. So that tells me he's most likely safe. Usually, they'll fire guys like you'll know, right? Especially him.
Yeah,
all the shit he got, he should have been fired today, or at least that should have. I would have fired him, but you would have think he would have been fired today. John Harbaugh, another one, could be fired. They lost that game last night in just
that was one of the craziest games I think I've ever seen. And that was the end of the season. Like double, you had both kickers missed a field goal. Chris Boswell missed an extra point.
Yeah.
And then the loop guy from the Ravens, he's been good all year. He was good all year, and then all of a sudden,
guy can't hit
winner.
50 plus. I mean, every time I've had him on, I had him in fantasy because he was hitting so. Guy can't hit from 50 plus. I feel bad. He's a rookie, and you put a rookie kicker in that position. I mean, that's a tough spot to be in, dude.
I heard something too. I heard Lamar. I watched one of Lamar's questions after the game, and I guess Tyler Loop, like on a kickoff, kicked it out of bounds, and it cost them some yards or something. And Lamar like went up and like ripped into him on the sideline. And then later in the game, he misses the kick. I'm not saying Lamar can't lead, but rookie kicker, big game. You got to go up to him and be like, "Hey, you're good. Keep your head in it. Hey, keep your head in it. Move on. Come on now. He's over there yelling at him on the sideline, and they asked him about it, and he was like, it was just a moment of the game. Like, I was caught up in the moment. Emotions are running high. Like, dude.
I don't know if I like that.
No, maybe there's a reason
I don't like that at all.
this Ravens team can't get over the hump.
Yeah, he said
Got a boy wants says I hate Lamar. I don't hate Lamar. I like Lamar. They just don't win. They don't win. I don't know like how much you can keep standing up when you don't win. Jalen Hurts has a Super Bowl right now, and Lamar doesn't. Josh Allen potentially can go get a Super Bowl this year. Like, who else? Bo Nix might have a Super Bowl before Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, if he ever wins a Super Bowl, he's going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks to never win a Super Bowl.
It's insane, dude.
He's going to be in that category.
CJ Stroud might win one before him.
He's just
CJ Stroud. He's year 3 or 4.
He's one of the best regular season players ever. He just isn't a great. He's never been a great. At least to this point, never been a great postseason player.
Big games, really.
Big games.
And he did have two. I'm not even blaming Lamar for yesterday though, because Lamar did have
the ball.
He played so good. I'm just saying in general, like this Ravens team, they just haven't been able to get over that hump, man.
And that's why they're going to fire John Harbaugh, because you're not sure. Obviously, you're not getting rid of Lamar, so John's going to go because they haven't won a big game. They've been in multiple AFC Championship games. They've lost.
Yeah.
Them. They've been a game away from the Super Bowl, dude. They just can't get it done. They've been at home, dude. They've been at home in the AFC Championship game to go to the Super Bowl as like a legit. I don't know if they were a favorite, but they were like, this team could upset the Chiefs.
They've had teams. People keep being like they didn't have weapons. You know, like this. That, like, dude, they've had great defenses. They've had enough weapons. They've had offensive lines.
The last 2 years, the defense has been bad, but before that, they have been. Dude, he's had a roster. They got Derrick Henry.
Dude, even this year, yesterday during the game, Jeff, they were like talking about how going into this year, Lamar and them were like showed up to training camp, and Mark Andrews was like, "I've never seen a team with this many weapons on it." But then this year, everyone will be like, the excuse like, "Don't have weapons." Dude, they're stacked on the roster. DeAndre Hopkins, I know he's older, but like you got him as like your wide receiver 3. Rashad Bateman.
Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. They have enough. Derrick Henry. Like that's like you see what Josh Allen's doing with you at wide receiver, all due respect. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like
here, you got a boy one. Like here's the dumbest excuses of all time. Wide receiver 1 is Zay Flowers. You're just saying that because he's on the Ravens. Like Zay would be a wide receiver 1 on a lot of football teams. That's a fact.
I don't think Zay Flowers is a real number 1, but he's a better number 1 than the Bills have.
100%.
Like who do the Bills have at number 1?
You have two. You have Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. You have Derrick Henry. Oh, the Bills number 1, Khalil Shakir. Zay Flowers is double, like way better than Khalil Shakir. You can't even name the Bills wide receiver 2. Ravens have Rashad Bateman and DeAndre Hopkins. Zay Flowers is better than Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir only puts numbers up because he plays with Josh Allen. What are we talking about here?
Dude, Khalil Shakir has not, like, he just showed up like last year. I mean,
yeah, and the only reason he showed up his numbers is because they traded away Stephon Diggs and he stepped up. Shakir's good. I'm not saying he's bad, but if we're talking pure talent, Zay Flowers is a more talented wide receiver.
Oh, no, there's not even a debate. Yeah.
Yeah, like what are we talking about here? I mean, Shakir had 700 yards this year.
Shakir's like a good slot guy. Like Zay had 1,200 this year receiving yards with Lamar out for like 6 games. And then Zay
he's had back-to-back 1,000-yard years. Zay Flowers has.
Yeah.
You're just making excuses now for Lamar.
I mean,
that's the annoying part about the Lamar Jackson stuff. Is people just use the same excuse that just makes no sense.
Yeah, who is it? I guess Shakir would be the number 1 wide receiver on the Bills.
It is, yeah. They don't really have. That's been the problem. That's another problem. Buffalo too. If they don't get over the hump this year, as they just don't give Josh Allen any weapons.
Zay is shorter than Caleb. That's funny. Caleb, we got to tell Caleb that one. Well, I don't know how tall is Zay.
Oh, can you look it up?
Yeah, let me see. Is he taller than Caleb? He is. He's 5'9". Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. I don't know. He might be taller than Caleb. Caleb's all heart though, man. Shout out TD. He says thank you for the $2. He says Lions will be unstoppable. Lamar. I mean, Lamar's an incredible quarterback.
Imagine Lamar with these weapons on in Detroit too, though. That is something. Jameer, Amon-Ra.
It's crazy. Yeah, the weapons, any quarter. Yeah, dude, the weapons are ridiculous. They have weapons. SW Line also asked a question earlier. We're getting appreciate the $2 though, TD. But you drop your questions. We'll get in the mailbag. SW Line, Jeff Booner. Why didn't they give Scotty Montgomery a shot at OC? Would have been much better than Morton.
It's a good question.
So I think the risk. So they chose the path they chose, right? Like John Morton was around when they created the offense with Ben. Dan felt like he was the better hire. They hired him. It didn't work out. Now you're in a position where you can't go to Scotty Montgomery. We'll never know if he could call plays because they can't do it. You can't, if you're Dan Campbell, botch the OC hire with John Morton and then go to Scotty, another unproved. Like they're in a position where I feel bad for Scotty because he's just like, you can't go to him.
Yeah.
Because that's tough by Dan. Like you can't. After
you have two choices. It's either you continue to call plays if you're Dan, or you go get a proven guy.
That's it.
I don't think there's it sucks because hindsight, you look back and probably would have maybe worked out better with Scotty Montgomery, or even I think the two names on that staff is Scotty and Hank Fraley. Like those are the two guys that everyone they both, I think, have interviewed for OCs the last 2 years and kind of didn't really give them a look. It felt like they went John Morton pretty quick last year. I wonder if Dan even had those conversations with those two guys, because it felt like he went to John Morton instantly, and we really didn't hear a lot of people that interviewed for that position.
Yeah. And Scotty Montgomery knows that guy's coached wide receivers. He's coached running backs. The guy knows offense. He's coached different positions.
And he knows the scheme, and he knows the offense you run.
Scheme, it's tough. You can't go to him now. It's too risky. God forbid if you hire Scotty and it didn't work out, like Dan's on the hot seat. Like that's bad. He can't do it. And I feel bad. Scotty might get interviewed. I honestly wouldn't be shocked. That guy gets interviewed and gets a job. Would not be shocked. Patty Grimes mailbag or mailbox. Did you see that the Lions have the 5th easiest schedule next year while Jeff's Bears have the 2nd hardest?
It is an easy schedule. I'll tell you what. It really is. We might have the 1 seed next year, Jeff, which obviously means nothing, but we just might have the 1 seed.
That schedule is a cakewalk. Let's be
real. They should win minimum 11 games next year.
That schedule, I know Mike Blenny was talking about they had an easier schedule this year. When you look back, it's like, no, that schedule next year is ass. That just looking at it, that schedule is bad, bro.
Dude, it's night and day difference.
Dude, it's a bad schedule, or good schedule for the Lions, but it's a lot of bad teams on there. By the way, Derek, shout out Derek, gifted 10 memberships in the chat. Appreciate Derek, man.
Oh,
appreciate Derek. You guys get
appreciate
access
it, Derek.
To membership.
10 people just got access to
membership perks on there. You got emojis. You can watch the videos we got on there. So shout out to Derek for hooking the people up there. Appreciate you, Derek. Shout out, man. He says,
can we see who got it? Oh, I got it right here. Phil got one. Wraith. I don't know how to say that name. Attila. All right, there's a lot of names here. I'm sorry.
Man just dropped 10. Shout out Derek, man.
Shout out to
Xavier Milbeck. Are you afraid Dan will avoid veteran coordinators because he's afraid of pushback? I don't think Dan's afraid of pushback. I think the only reason I would say Dan would avoid a veteran coordinator, if that's the route, is because he's so locked into what he wants system-wise that maybe the certain veteran coordinators don't line up with that system. I would say that's the only way that he would. I don't think he would be afraid to bring in like a dude at one of those coordinator spots, like Brian Daboll. Like, let's just say he fit. It's like Brian has a big ego and he's been a head coach. I don't think Dan would like fear that or anything. You know what I'm saying? I think Dan would be cool with that. You know, it's not like Brian's here to intimidate. Like, no, he's not. I don't think he's worried about that. But Dan's very stubborn, if you want to call it, or dead set on maybe how he wants things to look. And if they don't align, he might not bring in a veteran OC. I don't know. Because I think Dan weighs in a little on what the defense, like he kind of likes a certain defense too. I think he kind of not that
think so. Yeah, but I think if he brings a vet and like say last year he brought Dennis Allen in, he's probably going to give Dennis Allen some like this is what I think. But I think at the end of the day, like he probably like a guy like Dennis Allen that he's coached with in the past, that's a vet and has done it. He's going to trust him and be like, yeah, like obviously you know what you're doing. It would be the same thing like with the Raheem Morris. Like, yeah, you obviously know what you're doing.
You would know, like, okay, I'm getting a guy that's been which, by the way, if I told you had Jonathan Gannon, Raheem Morris, of those two.
Just those two. I would take either one. Jonathan Gannon won a Super Bowl.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. Sorry.
They made it. He
took him to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that year.
I was a year off.
They were a great defense that year, though. Even though it was a high-scoring Super Bowl, but they were still a great defense that year. So, in Arizona,
just open all the options, Dan. If I'm Dan, I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, you can't get worse than you were this year. Like, if you go get a vet, it can only go up. You haven't had a good defense essentially the whole time you've been in Detroit. Like, make a splash move. If I'm Dan, that's why I'm literally thinking in the back of my head, like, dude, we just have not had a legit, like, great defense, whether you want to blame injuries or not, since I've been taking this over. So obviously what I'm doing and the staffs that I'm bringing in and the leadership, like, yeah, I understand people, and I like Shep, and I understand a lot of people's argument with Shep is like, he's only going to get better. Like, I get that, and that's true. He is only going to get better. But, dude, you're in year 5 going on, 6. Like, you just never have had a good defense on this team where you could really be like, that's a top 5, a scary defense to go up against. That's disappointing, in my opinion. And you have for offensively, where people are scared of your offense.
Yeah, it's just like you assume it's linear, like they're going to get better, but you don't know that. I mean, we don't know. We don't know. And that's the risk you take if you keep Kelvin.
Yeah.
He could be amazing next year. Or he could be the same. And, it's like you don't want to be like the Steelers. Like, I'm not saying for like, playoffs and loss. I'm saying, the Steelers just never figured out how to what their offense was over the last ever since really Ben retired. They just always been a good defense, never had a good offense. It's like the Bengals, good offense, never had a good defense. Like you don't want to be one of those teams that just can't figure out a side of the ball.
You eventually want to figure it out.
You got to figure out. Yeah, you got to.
Like the Rams, they figure it out both sides every year.
That's how it is. That's how you got the 49ers, the Chiefs. Like those teams, a lot to figure out both sides, man. Eagles, notice a
those
trend
are the
there.
Teams that are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you noticed a trend. Before last question, mailbag, how funny was it that D ran more zone Sunday than the past month? LOL. Like, where was that the past few games? LOL. I wish we'd have taken the L Sunday. Maybe I'm an asshole. Well, it is what it is.
A lot of people, I think, were on your side at that one.
Yeah, they did run a lot of zone, though, watching that game, because they did run a lot of zone. But that's all matchup based. Calvin talks about that. Remember how he always says, like, depending on the opponent.
Yep.
They do their thing. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe tomorrow we'll find it. We'll get news. I don't know. Corey Woods, I think, is joining us tomorrow. I'm going to reach out.
What type of news?
Calvin Shepard. Or coordinators in general. See. Or maybe
I'll tell you what, there's not going to be a coordinator hire for at least I'm going to say, Jeff.
No, not hire, but fire. Is that fair?
Oh, well, I think John Morton already did get fired, technically.
That's fair. That's fair.
Pass game coordinator next year.
If we get news, we'll be covering it. By the way, before we get out of here, I'm going to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper, and then we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you all.
Man.
We'll see you for the rest of the week. We got the Flannel on Thursday, Doc on Wednesday, Corey, I think, tomorrow. So we got guests coming on the rest of the week. Appreciate you guys as always, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Peace. I've interrupted the video to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper and the new promotion they have going on. A brand new promotion is now live on Sleeper that could be paired with the 100% deposit match promotion that's already been going on. It's a free $20, no deposit required, plus first-time users will also receive 100% deposit match up to $100. Use the code CT Sports. You guys should already be using Sleeper. It's one of the fastest organically growing fantasy platforms in the entire world with millions and millions of active users. They are crushing it. And if your state allows it, you should be using Sleeper Picks. It's a real money product that connects friends over picks. You just choose 2 to 8 of your favorite players from pregame live or across different sports. Pick more or less than the predicted stats. And on Sleeper, you can get up to 1,000x payouts. Share with your friends. Get rewarded together. Don't forget, code CT Sports. Get a $100 deposit up to $100, and you got your free $20 entry. Sleeper is taking care of their customers. Always remember, gamble responsibly. Now let's get back to the video.